Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and today we're going back to the golden era of WWE with Haku and the Genius. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today I've got Haku and the Genius. The Genius, that one's going to be pretty easy. I need to take the torso and the legs off, paint up that crotch piece. I think it's just in light blue. I have to go back and take a look at my reference pictures. And then there's some decals for the boots. Obviously going to paint up the head sculpt there. And I know that they're brothers, but looking at this head sculpt next to the Macho Man sculpts, it is so apparent that that they're siblings. I think this, if you didn't know that this was Leaping Lanny Poffo, you very easily could just see this and think it's Macho Man. But that one was relatively easy to piece together. Those are some knee pads from Damien Sandow, I think. And I think the white boots were from the Monday Night Wars Curt Hennig. I got a few of those at Ollie's. Haku, I even did a showcase with like my upcoming customs, and I had a completely different formula. It was just the Wild Samoans 3-pack, or the 3-pack with Roman, and I was gonna just put that head on there, but I had this Matt Hardy. It was an extra, and I got to thinking, because I wanted to it didn't feel right. So I was just trying some stuff out, and this doesn't line up perfectly with the calves and the tights here, but I'm not going to have to do anything except acetone off the design, and I think it's going to look so clean. The decals are just going to go on the larger part right here. So we're going to paint up the head, paint up this torso, which was from my old Mordecai custom. I plan to do a new one, new Mordecai, Kevin Thorne, and then I'm trying to think. I think Elijah Burke is the third one in that video. Some ECW new breed there, but I wanted to use this larger torso, the Arn Anderson, William Regal torso, the barrel chested torso they like to use. I'd floated back and forth. I thought about just using one of the Uso torsos, but I thought this one fit Haku a little bit better. Even considered like an Austin torso, I just thought this looked good. So gonna repaint the torso and the head sculpt all matching. So most of once the prep work is done, it's gonna be pretty easy to do. The decals on these are gonna be cake, but with that being said, with all the pieces I don't have to paint and do stuff to, I think they're gonna look super clean, and I'm excited to finish these up. So let's get to it. Alright, so skin tone here, I'm using the tan skin tone. I think it is the same as Macho Man, and it is just, I know that they're brothers, I know that they look a lot alike, but I still think, I'm impressed with how much it looks like Macho without it looking exactly like Macho. Crotch piece here, I got the legs, torso, everything off, and I'm going to paint that up in white, and then I'll do the blue. Calves, I'm going to just do a few layers of white. It's not like a very dark white. It's kind of shiny if you look at pictures of him. So I'm going to do a few layers. It doesn't have to be, it can still have like a little bit of that translucency to it, I guess, or like just shiny. If you look at some of the reference pictures I started with, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is a minor detail. Painting up the crotch piece here, going to seal it and do everything. The beard, I use burnt umber. I'll use that a lot for my for beards. It's dark, so if you do a lot of layers, it looks thick and dark, but if you only do a few, it looks a little bit lighter, more just like a shadow, and I like that. I got a little smudge there. Gonna have to fix that up, but I did the same for the hair and beard here, and his beard was a little bit thicker, very Macho Man-esque. So essentially, I said I like to use it for the shadow, but it's going to be a thicker brown for both of them. And then just got to get the decals on his boots as well as his trunks, and then we'll be on to Haku. So this one, I am going to paint the face all white. I had some leftover white in my tray, so I painted the hair too, even though you don't need to prime for black. The black's going to cover just fine. And it looks insane on the time lapse, but I sanded down the torso piece a little bit just so that the paint would stick a little bit better. And then I'm still going to do a few layers of white over it so none of that old paint job is sticking through. And then we'll cover everything with the skin tone. And the skin tone paints from Cujo cover really well. And I know I always talk about his paint. I use it frequently. And I know I've had some people reach out about trying to get more from him. And I don't know if he's taking orders. So if you do hear back, he's taking them. And if you don't, I just assume he's not for now. But if I hear anything otherwise, I'll gladly let everyone know because this paint is fantastic. It makes my life a lot easier. I hate mixing skin tones. Anyway, on the head sculpt here, like I said, the black covers really well. I have a very fine paintbrush that I use for the edges there, and then I use a little bit bigger one just to cover the rest of it, and then I'll use a paintbrush for the beard here, but then for the rest of the kind of goatee part, I'll use my sculpting tool just because it's a lot more fine. Or like sculpting tool. I use my Micron pen. It just depends. Sometimes it's what's near me, but it's not too bad. And then just the decals to finish up, and we're out of here. Here we are with the Genius and Haku, and I'm so glad that this idea for Haku popped into my head because I really like how it turned out. The torso, I think, works perfectly for him, especially like I feel like Mattel will always make older guys really like they'll give them bulkier builds, and then you look at pictures of them compared to guys now, and I feel like the bodies aren't as drastically different. Of course, you've got guys like the Barbarian, who was super big, bloated, but he was one of those typical Vince McMahon, I'm not using steroid abusers, and like someone like him, sure. But Haku, I feel like this worked really well. I did end up swapping out the calves, and these ones are a little bit bigger, but these are the ones from that Wild Samoan figure, and they're a little bit bulkier. And then I did use like the skinnier ones, just I felt like didn't capture him as well. I'm happier with those. And then I noticed a lot of the reference pictures, he had the white on his ankles, but then he also had that right foot taped, or left foot taped, excuse me. And it's kind of bulky, but it's not, it's fine with me. It doesn't bother me that much. The torso, it was kind of hard matching. The skin tone for the Dragon Lee, it's a darker tone than like the Eddie Guerrero or Rey Mysterio figures. So Cujo, his skin tone paint had me covered. I think it came out really well. The head sculpt I think is really nice. I want to make some more Hakus, but I'm not totally positive what formula I'll use for the others. But then the Genius, that one was pretty simple, but I like the simple ones because it's come out super clean. Just had to paint up the calves there. He's got the high IQ decal on the boots there, and then it does say Genius on the back of the trunks, and I thought that was a pretty nice head sculpt. I think it definitely looks like the Genius, and you can still see the resemblance between him and Macho Man without it just looking like a Macho Man sculpt. So like Haku, I don't understand how we haven't gotten a figure of him, how he has not signed anything with WWE, especially having family in there and even being on WWE TV. But nonetheless, I finally have King Haku in my collection, and then the Genius is just a cool side character for me to throw on that shelf as well for an era that I don't always get around to making figures from. But nonetheless, that is going to be everything for today. If you made it to the end of the video here, I appreciate it. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude out.